بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين حمدا كثيرا طيبا مباركا فيه، والصلاة والسلام على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه ومن تبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين وبعد. Okay, basically this is an update to my previous video where I talked about the three-stage method of using the new intentions. Here what I'm going to talk about is another methodology. We can turn this instead of a three-stage methodology, we can turn this into a two-stage methodology. The difference here is that stage one stays the same basically, and what you do here is you'll have intentions 1 and 2 for both methods, for both methodologies, two-stage method and the three-stage method. You'll use stage 1, you'll use intentions 1 and 2 of the new intentions. However, in stage 2, in this two-stage methodology, you would combine stages 2 and 3 in the three-step methodology or a three-stage methodology. Okay, this is so. Before we go on to explaining the two-stage methodology, I forgot to mention something in that three-stage methodology. I mean, in the previous video, I forgot to explain something, and that was intention number 7. I completely forgot about intention number 7. Intention number 7 is always there, basically. So I mean, so you're going to use intention number 7, which is basically asking Allah that the reason that you're doing this ruqya is so that you can get back to worshipping Allah properly. So whenever you do a treatment in stage 1 or stage 2 or stage 3, in that previous video, you will obviously add intention 7 will be there as well. So you'll have intentions in stage 1. From what I remember, stage 1, you when you're asking Allah to destroy all the jinn, inside and outside, you will have intentions 1 and 2. You will have intention 7 there. So it will be intentions 1 and 2 and 7. And when you do when you do treatments in stages 2 and 3, you'll use intention 7 there as well. So that was just something I missed out on. So please, if you're going to use the previous video three-stage methodology, then please put in the intention number 7, because I mean, that's the only reason we are doing ruqya, so we can get back to worshipping Allah properly again. We're not here to do anything else in this world but worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. طيب. Okay. Again, even for this two-stage methodology, if you're not competent really with regards to ruqya diagnosis, although there's less diagnosis involved here, in fact you're only going to really do diagnosis really in stage 1. If you're not competent in that, then it's not really for you. This, if you're not familiar with how to do diagnosis, you're not even done general diagnosis yet, and you're jumping onto this kind of specific diagnosis. I mean, you don't know how your body reacts to ruqya. You don't know about establishing a reference point and how to work out if you are reacting or not really reacting. If you're not really competent in that area, then I don't advise you to do this, because the shayateen can play around with you and you get completely messed up and you get confused. You don't know what you were doing and you go off onto a tangent, start doing strange things with the ruqya. You see, so my advice to you would be go back to the first video which we did about the 7 intentions, and just keep using those 7 intentions all together. Just keep using those 7 intentions until Allah cures you, as I said in the video talking about the new intentions, the new 7 intentions. But we can add, what we can say here, I mean, we can tell the people to do something. Those people who can't do diagnosis, what I would suggest that they do, and this inshallah ta'ala hopefully would work, if they just concentrate their first so they know that they cannot do ruqya. It's very difficult for them to do ruqya diagnosis. So what can we suggest for them to do with those seven intentions? Well, what they can do, they can just focus on intentions 1 and 2 for about 1 week, or even more if they have to. Okay, for 1 week or even more, and they're just focusing on intentions 1 and 2. So those intentions 1 and 2 were just asking them to kill all the jinn inside them. Okay, and to destroy, to kill all of the jinns outside in the networks. Because remember, that's where all the problem really comes. I mean, I just had an email now from someone saying, oh, Said, the sihr keeps getting renewed after a few days. How do we solve this problem? Well, I mean, really, what's causing this problem is those jinns outside. So the people will read Ruqya, and many people do this. They'll kill the jinns inside them, and by doing their Ruqya, and Allah helps them with that. But what happens, they completely forget about the sihr outside. That's why it's important to define sihr when you're looking at a disease. What exactly is it? How does it work? What is it? You see? What is even a spiritual disease? I remember even some people, when I was dealing with that Kabbalah sihr, there was issues even with defining it, confused. And I had to tell the brother, no, get this issue of contract out of your head. All right? It's not always the case. There's sometimes no contract. The jinns can do it themselves. Have we seen a jinn, a sahid from amongst the jinn, even Iblis himself, they could just do sihr on you without anybody else's help. They could just do it on you. We've seen this. So there's no contract there. So you have to have your correct understanding of what sihr is. That's why the best definition, and this is from my experience, the best definition for all of these spiritual diseases, is that a spiritual disease, what is it? It's a disease that you cannot see, unseen. You can't see this disease. It's not physical, meaning so you cannot touch it. You cannot touch this thing. However, what is it? It reacts. What does it do? It reacts to Ruqya, and that's how we identify it. For me, this is the best way of defining a spiritual disease. Because that's what they are. That's the thing what differentiates them from physical diseases. You see, and that's how we were able to find out these different kind of spiritual diseases that we were coming across, like the Kabbalah sihr, the Kabbalah ain, and there are other things which they could just do, as we've seen some patients, who have been directly affected by Iblis, who would come and do something on them, and then we wouldn't know that what is there. We wouldn't know if the thing was there. If we had a completely misunderstanding of sihr, and we understand sihr, some sort of contract, this and that, if you have it some sort of understanding of sihr is something like that, then when you do the diagnosis, you find that you're not going to pick it up. You're not going to pick it up. And if you restrict your definition of a spiritual disease or even sihr to just what the sihr which was familiar, which is described in the Quran and the Sunnah, the conventional traditional sihr, then again you're not going to pick up when they mess it around, they change it. Why do you think Iblis and his army and his people they change the sihr? Because they know that the Iraqis, they work it out from using the Quranic ayahs. So they know that they got some understanding. So they see what they're doing. They don't want you to pick up sihr. They don't want you to know that there's sihr there. They don't want you to know that there's sihr or divorce there. Yes, so they're going to change it. They're going to mess it around. So you're not going to be able to identify it. That's why it's important to have a good understanding of what these diseases are. And if you have a good understanding of what these diseases are, then you will be able to tackle them. Have you ever seen a doctor, medical doctor with physical diseases, just giving you treatments? Here you go, take this, take that, without doing any sort of diagnosis on you? I've never seen a doctor do that. And no patient would actually accept that kind of a treatment. They'll just do treatment. Don't worry about what you got. Don't worry. Well, doctor, what have I got? Man, I'm vomiting. I've got a headache. My vision is blurred. Well, what have I got? Doesn't matter. Just take these tablets and take these ones and take these ones. And you know what? And have these antibiotics as well. Nobody doctor really does that. They're going to try to find out what exactly you got. Why? So they could do better treatment. Same thing with these spiritual diseases. We need to know what you got. We need to know if you got another disease. I mean, subhanAllah, even now when I'm dealing with my patients now, when they say, oh, I think I'm cured, sir, I think everything is gone. Okay, yeah, everything that you think you've got is gone. But there might be something different there as well. Because we're dealing with, when you deal with these start killing king jinns and that, like I said in the previous videos, Iblis himself gets involved. So what happens there is that they can give you a disease that they know that you pick it up from Ruqya. So they'll give you something that your definition of it, you won't pick it up because you have a particular definition of what a spiritual disease is, so you won't pick up. And that's why I tell some patients, and it happened actually recently. There's a brother saying, I'm cured, I think everything's okay. I said, wait. Ask Allah to show if you've got any unknown new diseases now. And the brother does the diagnosis and gets back to me, you know what, I'm reacting. I said, see, there's something there. Something completely different. He had to do Ruqya until he got rid of all of those things as well. You see? So, So going back, I mean, if you don't understand what a sihr is and what all these spiritual diseases are, if you don't have a proper understanding of what sihr is, that there is an external element to the sihr. There's an external element, not only internal, there's external element. And that's where the problem is coming from. So that brother who emailed me recently, the thing I'm going to be telling him is basically, look, you got to work on those outside jinn. That's what's causing the problem. That's what's actually renewing the sihr. You kill all the jinn here, they just line up. Oh, next lot come in like a conveyor belt. They just keep coming in, keep coming in. You're going on run for years. And that's what was happening to me, sadly. You know, I just kept on having the same jinn. But what I was doing, I wasn't focusing on this outside sihr, which was part of my sihr, because it's there. I'm connected to it. I was just focusing on the internal sihr. You see. So what we can say to those patients who have problems with doing specific ruqya diagnosis, because it's confusing. It can be very confusing, as I've seen with patients. You know, it can be confusing. They don't really understand what's going on because they never really thought about it like this. You know how to do it and what is a reaction, not a reaction. What I would suggest them to do, yes, they can do treatment. They know there is something wrong. They've done a general sort of diagnosis. They know they've got some sort of problems. They know it. They know they've got spiritual disease. What I would suggest that they do is just keep reading, doing treatment using intentions 1 and 2 from those new intentions, meaning they're asking her to kill all of the jinn inside them, the ones they know of and the ones they don't know of, and also the ones in those networks outside, the networks that they know of and the networks that they don't know of, as I've explained in the previous videos. So they just work on those intentions and read on that. So that's all they're focusing on. Not focus on anything else. No connections or anything else, networks like that. They're just focusing on killing the jinn, asking Allah to kill the jinn. Why are you focusing on that? Because like I said, we know that what happens, and I said that on a previous video, we know that what happens, and it's also happened during the time when we were dealing with the king jinn. They kill the jinn, and what happens, because they sometimes cut off the networks too soon, the jinns in those networks, they reconnect and reconnect to them. And how do we know this? Because we do ruqya diagnosis. We ask the patients, or the patients will tell me, and they will tell me, the ones who are, because some of the patients are competent in doing specific ruqya diagnosis, they find out, you know what, I was clear of everything, but then I got connected up again. And then what I did I did a diagnosis to see if I'm connected to any of the previous jinn that I thought had died. And I started reacting, and then I said, and this is what caused me to do these 2 updates, actually, these 2 new videos. I said, okay, we're going to have to treat it like we did previously. That it's better to just work on killing all of the jinn in the external networks. Get rid of them all. And just keep reading like that. So what I would suggest to patients, okay, those ones who just can't do ruqya diagnosis, very difficult for them to do it. Spend the 1 week, maybe even more if you want. 1 hour a day. You can break it up into 20 minutes in the morning, 20 minutes in the afternoon, 20 minutes in the evening. Just asking Allah to kill all the jinn inside you and kill all the jinn outside. Just keep doing that. Just keep doing that. Just keep doing that. Keep reading and reading until you feel better. You're feeling better. Until you get some, you're going to feel better. Then what I would say, after 1 week, then add the other intentions. Add 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 will obviously be there as well. So when you're doing the treatment, you'll be doing it with 1 and 2. So you'll be asking her to kill all the jinn inside you, kill all the jinn all in the networks. And obviously, and intention number 7, the reason you're doing this so that you can get back to worshipping Allah properly again. So you do that for some time, 1 week, I would say, recommend 1 hour a day. You could break that 1 hour into 20 minutes in the morning, 20 minutes in the afternoon, 20 minutes in the evening, or you could do straight 1 hour, or you can actually do half an hour and half an hour, no matter whatever is good for you. But make sure you do 1 hour a day and you're just working on those intentions, getting rid of all of the jinn, killing all the jinn inside you, and on those networks. It's those networks which is really the key here. I'm not so worried about the ones inside so much, I have to be honest here. It's those ones outside. And that's actually the one Iblis cares about as well. It's his army outside. He doesn't care, because what they do, they just send you riffraff when inside you so much. He's not gonna send you his best stuff. He's not sending you his best men inside you. Because I don't remember ever Iblis getting involved with my patients when I had the understanding of just dealing with the jinns inside the people. Never really dealt with something like that. But when we started going out and killing King Jinn, and this was only in the last 3 or 4 months, he started getting involved. When we switched the intention, when we realized, oh, subhanAllah, that King Jinn, that major general in his army, is actually part of the network. When we started targeting those, And he won't even targeting us when we were targeting patients when they were dealing with the master jinn. Didn't mind too much dealing with the master jinn. But when you start killing king jinn and making intentions to kill king jinn and all the jinn out there, he gets involved. You see, and like I said, he wasn't really bothered about the ones inside. It's what's really affects him, may Allah curse him, is the jinns outside. That's what and you start dealing with that because that's his army basically, the main guys he has, who he uses. You see, so what we'll say, so those patients who are just not competent enough in a specific Ruqya diagnosis, just read 1 week asking Allah to kill the jinn inside you and kill all of the jinn outside. So you can get back to worshipping Allah properly again. And after 1 week, then add the other intentions. Add intentions 3, 4, and 5, and 6. And then keep reading like that until you get no more reactions during the Ruqya. And until you feel, I'm not getting any reactions anymore. Okay, and like I said before, or previously in my other videos, that obviously during treatment, your reactions are not going to be like diagnosis, because diagnosis, we're asking Allah to show us the reactions. In treatment, you're not going to get much reactions, but you're going to get something. Usually get something. So when you get to a point in treatment where you're actually not feeling anything for a few days, then that might be your sign that you're cured from everything. And then what you do there, you don't just say, oh, I'm cured. No, that's a big mistake, as I've seen many people do. I'm feeling better, I'm feeling good. It's not good enough. You got to do Ruqya diagnosis to confirm that you're cured. Okay, you got to do Ruqya diagnosis to confirm that you're cured. So you do Ruqya diagnosis, and you can use all of Surah Falaq and Nas, and you just keep repeating them. Repeat them for half an hour, asking Allah to show you, do I have any spiritual diseases that I know of, or I don't know of, because you could have some new ones that we don't even know of. As I said, some patients, they get that, you see. And you just keep reading. If you get no more reactions, then you can say, Alhamdulillah, you're cured. You don't have anything. And you can do that for a few days, and you don't get any more reactions. You're reading for half an hour a day, all of Surah Falaq and Nas with that intention. Well, show me, meaning when you say show me, you mean show me reactions. Give me reactions if I've got a spiritual disease that I know of or I don't know of. No reactions, it means that you're clear. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. And like I said, you could do that for 2 to 3 days. If you did that half an hour, and you weren't getting anything, and you really are sincerely asking Allah, then we can say that, that you're cured. If you want to do it for a little bit longer, you can, 2, 3, 5 days if you want to. And if you want to even make it even more intense, you can actually get some water and read on the water, with Surah Falaq and Nas for about, you can do 7 pairs of Surah Falaq and Nas, blow into the water. Okay, every time you finish a pair, blow. Read Falaq and Nas, blow into the water. Falaq and Nas, blow into water. You do that 7 times, and your intention in there is diagnosis again. Allah show me if I've got any spiritual diseases that I know of, or any spiritual diseases that I don't know of. And then you drink that water, okay, and then you read the Ruqya, and then that would make the Ruqya very intense, because now you've got water in your stomach, Ruqya diagnosis, water in your stomach, so you're getting effects of that, and you're also reading the Ruqya diagnosis for half an hour. If you get no reactions after that, then you really are, and you do that for a few days, then we can say that you're cured. Okay, the next point here, which is very important, is sins. Now, patients will be affected by sins, and it's going to really weaken your Ruqya. All right. If you've got sins, you're not getting anywhere really. And I think I've said this in a previous video. So you can have sins with regards to intention in your heart and your belief system. So people have not really, they've got problems with Allah. They don't trust Allah, and it's unbelievable that some people they fall into this category sadly, because the jinns are playing waswas games with them, and so it doesn't. If you get a evil suggestion about Allah, Allah doesn't love you, or it actually won't be in the second person. It will be actually in the first person. It was what I call an impersonating whisper. The jinn inside you will pretend to be you. So it won't say, oh, Allah doesn't love you. It would say, oh, Allah doesn't love me. Allah does, as if you're talking to yourself, and it will impersonate your whisper. And you'll hear that whisper, and you think, oh, was that me? And as we had patients, and even myself, you'd think that's yourself, and you think, oh my God, astaghfirullah, I must be evil, thinking like that. And in some cases, people will take shahada. I remember I took the shahada a few times, because I didn't even understand anything of this, And I talk about all of this in my article, The Waswas from the Possessing Jinn, and Qareen. And I talk about this, having good thoughts about Allah, and the fact that they can use what I call the impersonating whisper. You think it's actually yourself, but in reality, it's not you. And that's the sign that shows you that hatred of that thought or that whisper shows you that you've got iman, because you don't like it, your heart is not settled with it. But sadly, some people, they accept, they say, yeah, that's correct, Allah doesn't love me, and I'm alright with that, I agree with that, actually. Then that's a problem. Stuff like that will take you outside the fold of Islam, and nobody needs to come and tell you, and nobody will know about it. And you could be walking around, some people could be walking around, they've actually left Islam and they're not even Muslims anymore because they hate Allah, or they're not happy with Allah, and somebody has evil thoughts about Allah like this, you go out the deen, SubhanAllah, so it's so you have to be very careful. So you have to be careful with those kind of thoughts. You just say A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim, ignore them. You're not going to be blamed for those things because it's not you, it's the jinn doing it. You see, another issue with beliefs in the system in the heart is another one, is regards to seeking the help of the jinn. So some patients are actually happy that they got jinn. I can use these. They're friendly. They're Muslim. They're in my benefit, and they actually talk to them and get some, get some help from them and that. And they're happy that they've got them. Oh, this jinn's really helpful to me. And this is actually major shirk. It can take you outside the fold of Islam, So you have to be careful about seeking the help of the jinn. So don't have any love, affinity, anything towards the jinn. You don't want to be dealing with them. You hate them. You don't want them in your body. You want to get rid of them. You're not happy that you're possessed. You don't want them there. You see, you want to get them out. Okay, so you have to check your belief system, okay, and your heart. So actions of the heart. So this is important. The scholars do say that actually actions of the heart are more important than the actions of the limbs. So you really have to look in there, because the jinns, they love, and I've noticed that that's one of the things they love, making people fall into sin inside the heart, because we can't correct it. Difficult to correct. If people got these kind of strange ideas and thoughts about Allah in their heart, or seeking the help from the jinn in their heart, we can't do anything about it because we can't see it. So only when they actually express this thing to you and tell you what's in their heart, then we can say, yeah, that's wrong, brother, you can't be thinking like that. You see, so that's why the jinn, they love that kind of thing, and they do start, that's why they give you waswas, and you have to be very careful of that. You see, another issue here which I didn't mention was looking down at Muslims and hating Muslims, and that you want to be careful with these kind of feelings as well. Hatred towards Muslims, and having bad thoughts about Muslims, and that you can end up falling into sins into these areas as well. If you've got nothing justified, there's no justification for these things. You see, so be very careful of thinking that you're better than other people and stuff like this. These kind of actions of the heart, you have to be very careful. They're all basically shaitanic. So be very careful. You can actually fall into sins with backbiting and lying with the mouth as well, and listening. Obviously, be careful listenings. So, and looking and seeing things. So just be careful about these sins. Looking at haram, listening to haram, music, whatever, evil speech, and saying something haram and looking at haram. Be very careful about those sins. Because sins really affect the ruqya. I get a lot of people contact, it's not working. No, these things work. We've tried and tested it. It works, these intentions. These intentions, they work. If it's not working for you, then all I can say is that maybe there's something wrong with your ruqya. There's something wrong. There's something wrong maybe in the area of sins. That's where it usually is. It's either sins, or they've not actually understood the intentions. They just read them literally like that, but they don't understand the actual meaning behind when I say certain things there. Networks. What do you actually mean by networks? Jinns that you know of and the jinns that you don't know of. What do I actually mean by jinns that you don't know of? Things like this, and that actually will affect your ruqya because it's your intentions. You see? So that's going to affect as well. So what I've seen the most thing which affects the ruqya are sins and not understanding the intentions. That's why it doesn't work. You see? Another issue with regards to sins, hijab issues. Sisters, wearing makeup, covering their hijab, not wearing proper hijab, just wearing baggy trousers and things like this, and showing their feet. With brothers, you have example of trimming their beard. You can't trim your beard. Trim beard is sinful. Or shaving the beard, even worse. Shaving the beard. Keep well away from these things. You got to try to be careful. I've noticed a lot of brothers. They grow their beard, but they trim it. If you've got a beard like me and it doesn't grow, because I'm black, it's not going to go more than usually black brothers. We don't have long beards, But when I notice, I notice some brothers, you can tell that obviously they're Pakistani, Bangladeshi. Alhamdulillah, those brothers, Allah's blessed them with the fact that their beard would be long and look like the length of the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. They can get to that level. They can get to that length. Usually in general, Somali brothers like myself, we're not going to get longer than what I've got, you see. So you can tell, and that's one of the first things when I see that, and I advise them, brother, don't trim that beard. Don't trim that beard. Leave that beard alone. Let it grow. With regards to another issue, like we've mentioned, listening to music, watching films and soap operas, this is useless. I don't see any benefit in that. Watching films, soap operas, and this is the sisters usually like these kind of things. Soap operas, they're really into this sort of things. What's so and so doing with this and that and that? These characters, some sisters sadly get involved in that, you know. And some things which are similar to films, those like mini series they put on TV, which have these mini series, you know, they're similar. They're basically like short films. Those things as well, keep away from them, you know. Obviously you can watch news and documentaries, some factual thing, no problem, history program or whatever, wildlife program, fine, you know. But soaps and films and mini series which are similar to films, keep well away from these things, you know. Let's go. Okay, just basically let's look at this two-stage methodology now. So what you're basically going to do, this two-stage methodology, it is basically, go back to the previous video, you see we've got 3 stages. Well, here what we're going to do, you keep stage 1 exactly the same. Then what you do is stage 2 and 3, you combine them together, basically. So if you go back to that previous video, you'll see that there is stage 1. You do the diagnosis and the treatment for stage 1 as I explained it in that previous video. Go watch that previous video and you can see those intentions there. I mean, those intentions and the treatments there, you know. And what I suggest you, so is intentions 1 and 2, and you do the diagnosis and you do the treatment for that stage. And in the end, obviously, the diagnosis you'll check to see if all of the jinn are dead outside of your body and inside of your body. Now stage 2, like I said, will be a combination of stage 2 and stage 3 of that previous video, the 3-stage methodology. You combine them too. So you'll be combining intentions 3, 4, 5, 6, and obviously number 7, because that's part of it as well. So the main thing here though is intentions 3, 4, 5, 6. You put all of those intentions together. Okay, and you just keep reading, because now you know already that all of the jinn are dead in the networks. All of the jinn are dead in the networks, all of the jinn inside you are dead. So you just do treatment for intentions 3, 4, 5, and 6, and you keep reading. You keep reading until you feel better. You can do a diagnosis to see if those certain things are, you know, disconnected, like if all of the disconnections have happened. You can do a diagnosis if you want to do that, but you don't have to. You can just keep reading the Ruqya, until you feel good. Okay, until you feel good, that you know, and then once you start realizing that you're not getting any more reactions, hey, I'm feeling better now, I'm not getting any more reactions, doing this treatment, then what we would suggest then next to do would be to do a Ruqya diagnosis to check if everything is, if you're clear of everything. So you've had a few days where you're getting no more reactions during the treatment, so you were doing intention 3, 4, 5, and 6, and now you're not getting any reactions, you don't feel anything, then I'll suggest that you do the final diagnosis. You do the final diagnosis where you use all of Surah Falaq and Nas, and you keep reading all of Surah Falaq and Nas, you know, reading for half an hour, asking Allah to show you if you've got any spiritual diseases, the ones you know of and ones you don't know of, and you keep reading Surah Falaq and Nas like that, all of Surah Falaq and Nas for half an hour, Surah Falaq, then Surah Nas, then Surah Falaq, then Surah Nas. You keep reading like that. Once you get no more reactions, then we can say that you're basically cured. And obviously you can also, like I said earlier, you can use water in this diagnosis as well, just to make sure that there is nothing there. You can use Ruqya diagnosis water or Ruqya diagnostic water, you see. But if you do that for about, you know, 2 to 5 days, you get no more reactions, and you're doing good diagnosis, and you're reading for about half an hour, and you get no more reactions, then we can say Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, that you're cured, you know. Okay, that's basically the 2-stage methodology. So we will just leave it to patients. You can use the 3-stage methodology if you want, if you're competent in Ruqya diagnosis. If you want to do it like that, you can. And then if you're not so competent in Ruqya diagnosis, but you can do some, you can do some, then you can do this methodology, the 2-stage methodology. And like I said, if you know that you cannot do Ruqya diagnosis, very difficult for you, then go use all 7 intentions. Use all 7 intentions to treat yourself. And what you could do, you can break you can break it up a little bit by just focusing for 1 week, as I said earlier, on intentions 1 and 2 for a week, and then after that, then add all the other intentions. Dave, okay. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdik, ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta, astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk.